Can I please have a motion and a second to reconvene the public meeting?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for our servicemen and women?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can the district clerk please call the roll? Present.
Marisol Mallon,
Present.
April Inatelli, Vice President,
Present.
Jacqueline DiLorenzo, Trustee,
Present.
Sarah Parisi, Trustee, Melissa Torregrassa, Trustee, Dr. Joseph Centimore, Superintendent,
Present.
Reza Kolaifer, Assistant Superintendent of Administration and Personnel,
Hello.
Christina Poppy, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction,
Present.
Anthony Fasano, District Attorney.
Present.
Thank you. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the July 29, 2025 meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to suspend the business meeting and convene the facilities summer project presentation?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I'm the only aye.
I'm an aye.
Aye. Who said aye? Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Allen and Mr. Weisberg, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. I got to apologize. I started with about 75 slides tonight, and I kept hearing robust and succinct, so we got it down to 60. So I'm going to really show the whole entire story with pictures. There's not a lot of narrative that comes to it. I'll share, a quick sentence or two on each project, but if you have any questions as we're moving through it, please ask and I'll do my best to elaborate. So quick year in the review, a lot of projects. Roof replacements. So part of the 2022 project was replacing the roofs on the secondary schools. We are 2/3 of the way done with the high school, and the middle schools. Our RMS is 100% complete, and we will be done with OBMS next week. So, high school pool renovation. We all know this project has been going. So, the picture on the left is a picture right after the pool was drained. The picture on the right is from today. So, you can see that the acoustical treatments are done on the ceiling. The perimeter of the pool is in place. What you can't see is all the drains that are already connected, as well as all the work in the locker rooms, the offices, and the bathrooms connecting. You'll get a better look at that when we do the board walkthroughs next week. You can see some of the tile work. So the showers were old, dilapidated. They were leaking, problems with the floors, and they were not ADA compliant. So we've changed everything, including the addition of ADA showers in both boys and girls locker rooms. So we had a couple little buckets of money to use, some old transfer to capitals. This one in particular was from 2014-15. It had been collecting dust, trying to find a project that was worthy of doing. So we finally settled on the director's suite. The director's suite is a cluster of 2 rooms upstairs in the high school. There's a total of 6 administrators and a couple clerical that work out of the space. They were not in soundproof rooms, so they were holding meetings. They were meeting with students. They were having all of their professional responsibilities, and it really wasn't conducive to the work that they do. So because we were doing the building-wide air conditioning, and we had an opportunity to move the walls and change the configuration, we were able to use that little bucket of money and redesign the entire suite. So Picture today is on the right. That's the only thing left that we don't see there is the floor that was going down this evening. Hopefully tomorrow that will be completely done. Once again, we'll see that when we do the walkthrough later on next week. Cherokee Hallway. So I'm not sure if people remember, but there's been a number of areas on the tile in Cherokee that were cracked over the years. The tile itself, was safe for the most part, but the mastic behind it was asbestos. So we were able to remove all of the tile. As you can see on the left, it takes it all the way down to the concrete block, which is a substantial amount of work. And then we replaced it on the right-hand side with a large architectural tile, and then we did a little bit of highlights, bringing in a red around the windows just to break it up and give it a little character. ADA, walkways, improvements, and everything else. So one of the things that we've done with this project too is a lot of ADA accommodations. I think people will remember when we did the Sycamore sidewalks, we put ramps in front of the building to make sure that we had accessibility all over the place. A lot of the considerations with the playgrounds that we've done have ADA components to it. And we wanted to make sure that the buildings themselves and the access to the different features of the building were as accessible as possible. So we've added sidewalks from play areas, from asphalt areas around the buildings and everything else. So the pictures you see there lead to the playground as well as around the back of the building over at Cherokee. We've also done a whole bunch of work in Duffield, Boston, and Idlehour as well. So those buildings all have been addressed as well. Duffield site work. I don't know if anybody's been driving around the district at all. I certainly do on a daily basis. We've had drainage issues over the years. We also had limitations of parking over at Duffield. So the project over there is a full replacement of the south parking lots. What we're doing is we've added drainage, obviously all the concrete work, and we've also increased the amount of parking space available to the building as well. So you can see on the right-hand side, that was from this afternoon. Tomorrow, they're going to be putting the first coat of asphalt down. They should be finishing that on Thursday, and then we'll start the line striping right after that, so we'll be 100% ready to go when we open up the buildings. UPK playgrounds. We talk about a little bucket of money and everything else. So we had a little bucket of money from 2013-14. One of the things that's always concerned me with the outside play areas in our district is we didn't have anything age appropriate for the children that were in our CAPS program or our UPK program. Technically, the playgrounds are typically from 5 to 12-year-old range, so we use this bucket of money to do playgrounds that are age appropriate for the children in those UPK buildings. So we put 4 new playgrounds: Slocum, Pearl, Boston, and Idlehour. We also were able to do 2 5 through 12 playgrounds, one at Boston, one at Pearl. When we looked at the timing in the summer and we were looking at the amount of manpower needed from the vendor to get everything done, I wasn't comfortable agreeing and committing to the work at Duffield, but they are also slated to get a playground. After going back and forth with the principal, we decided to open the building with the existing equipment, but we were going to do that work probably December of this year. So that'll be done as well. And it's kind of hard to tell because you're looking at a structure here, both that has a UPK in the foreground and the 5 through 12 in the background, but quite a large play complex for these buildings. Slocum, we all know it's an old building, needs a lot of TLC. One of the things that we've had problems with is water intrusion. So this is allowing us to seal the building envelope. On the left-hand side, you can see all those gray areas. Those were all cracks that had to be scraped out, cleaned up, waterproofed across the entire concrete apron. And in addition to that, there were several steel lintels over the windows that needed to be replaced. So you can see the before and after between the two pictures there. Likewise, the Pearl exterior. The picture on the left was taken right before the workers started. On the right-hand side is a picture from today. All they've done so far is they've raked out all of the mortar joints And if you can see, you can still have a couple of steel lintels that are open and exposed. Those will be replaced. We're going to get all the noisy and dirty work done in the next week in front of the building, so it won't impact the educational staff. And if need be, if we cannot get everything done before the first day with students, we'll do second shift after hours, so it won't impact anybody. But this is going to preserve the building envelope at Pearl as well. So a number of other projects that we didn't bother taking pictures of. I think I could just speak to them real quickly. High school electrical upgrades and HVAC. All the equipment is in place. The electrical upgrade's been done. All those classrooms, I believe it's 88 spaces in total, are at the point where we're getting ready to turn them over. So then we'll be able to control them with the BMS system. Those window ACs that we've relied on so heavily over the last several decades are going to become a thing of the past. So we'll be able to monitor and control that and provide a balance to the heating and cooling of that building. Slocum is right behind that. Unfortunately, as I've shared from conversations, the electrical equipment is a very, very long lead time item. So while we do have all of the HVAC equipment in place, we don't have the electrical there to run it. That said, we do have window ACs, and I've shared this multiple times. We have window ACs everywhere that we have instructional spaces, with the exception of some of our gymnasiums. Okay, so otherwise, offices, classrooms throughout the district, they are all going to be air conditioned as of first day of school, September 2nd. Pro boilers, not very impressive when I take a picture of it, but it was very important in order to maintain the integrity of the heating system at Pearl. So those boilers are replaced. We're going to be ready to go before the winter, which is a huge peace of mind. We've done a few flooring abatement projects. In order to maximize state aid, which is something that we're always concerned about, we always try to find an inside project to do to match up with the outdoor work. So when you start seeing sidewalks, playgrounds, and stuff like that, for us to get the aid on that, we need to match it up with inside work. So we did a bunch of flooring abatement where we needed to, just to complement the work and make sure we maximize the state aid. And another thing that's we're going to be starting in the coming weeks and everything else, ADA improvements that are ongoing. We're putting stage lifts at all of the elementary schools that don't have access already. If people are familiar with Sycamore, they know that you can come through the cafeteria and get access onto the stage. So the students who may have difficulty navigating stairs and everything else can have the full experience of being up on the stage along with their peers and everything else. Some of the buildings that do not have that capacity right now, which we're addressing and fixing, are Cherokee, Basti, Idlehour, Slocum, and Pearl. So those buildings will have lifts. We're tucking them off to the side so they're not going to impact the general flow of the space and everything else, but it will give full accessibility to the stages for the students as well. And you'll also notice when we were looking at the high school, we didn't have to do it, but because of the ADA component, we felt it was necessary and a smart thing to do. We put an ADA ramp in and out of the pool. So we took one of the two egresses out of there, and we added a ramp so that if there's an event in the pool, people don't have to egress out through the building. They can come right out through those doors and have handicap accessibility. So I think that would be you. So before I turn it over to Brandon and everything else, so everybody knows I get pretty jazzed up over all the capital projects that we do in this district. This community, this board has been phenomenal about investing back into the buildings. And it's a privilege to be able to show everybody all the work that's happening and all the different things that are taking place. But I think sometimes we lose sight of what our own staff and our own guys are able to do. Brandon in his capacity as the director of facilities has that daily interaction. And he's really put a lot of tasks on our guys this summer in the last couple months. They've stepped up unbelievably. The projects that they've done are over the top. He's going to give you a snapshot along with some savings. And they're not year after year savings in all cases, but in some cases they allowed us to do that much more work that we wouldn't have been able to do. Duffield Playground was not something we were sure we were going to be able to do, but because Brandon was able to work with our grounds guys, they rented equipment, and they were able to do all the site work and all the preparation, and they were able to save the district, without exaggeration, $100,000. Substantial amount of money by their efforts and their skills. So with that, let me.
Well, wait, John, I have one question before you go. I just wanted you to address the parking lot and why we're now allowing the students to paint over the old paint that is there? Or do you want Brandon to speak on that?
I'll touch over the decision-making as to when the sequence and everything else, because I was involved in that decision. So the painting of the senior parking lot it's an unbelievable event. It gets the entire senior class together and everything else. It takes a lot of things to make it happen, though. When we first started doing it, we really didn't know exactly what we were going to be in store for. So the seniors came out, they painted their parking spots, and then the district invested a lot of money in seal coating the entire parking lot, restriping it, and everything else. It really was not a sustainable practice. So what we tried after that was to have the seniors, after their senior year was over, to come in and paint over their artwork and their parking spot for the year. Well, it sounds great in theory, and it would be awfully nice for the seniors coming in to have a very clean palette, but the problem is there's no accountability. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but when the senior year is winding down, those kids, the last thing they want to do is come in and paint a parking spot. So it was decided a year ago that we were going to have the incoming seniors coat their parking spots, which means that we don't have to add an additional layer. If I was to go out there, if Grounds were to go out there, I should say, they would paint them all black and everything else. So now we're going to take the colored parking spots that there are, cover them with black, and then the students are going to add their base color, whatever it is. We just keep adding more and more layers, which inevitably becomes a bigger and bigger maintenance issue in the future as everything peels and everything else. So the students, they come in and they paint their base coat. I don't know if I saw one student paint a base coat of black. So why should we go through all the additional effort? What we do is, and this is something Brandon will touch on, is when we do this, we try to prep the surfaces as best we possibly can. District-wide, we sweep all the parking lots. When I got here, that was something we used to sub out for an outside contractor. Our guys do that now. Another savings that Brandon will touch on. But in the case of the senior parking lot, we sweep it twice mechanically, and then we go out there with leaf blowers and we do everything we possibly can. Is it perfect? No. Unfortunately, we don't have a dome. As much as the athletic director keeps asking me for a dome, we don't have one, and we certainly don't have it over the student parking lot. But I think based on everything I saw this year, I think it really went well. I think the kids came out in droves, as much as they've come out in years past. Hands down, it was the largest showing I've ever seen. Maybe it was a perfect day, maybe it was the perfect, day of the summer and everything else, but boy, it was impressive. So.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate what the Grounds guys, you all do for us. And I just would like to say, because, as a parent of a senior, we, I brought my leaf blower too, and this is why, I wanted you to speak on this because of the fact that, it is land outside. The wind blows. So as much as you're cleaning it, just like our own homes, you're still going to get gravel. You're still going to get leaves. You're still going to get, debris. So I just wanted everybody to know that you guys are doing a great job.
They do a great job.
Yes.
They definitely do. Thank you for that.
I just wanted to add, if the right paint is used also, towards the end of the senior year, the spot is basically black anyway, because I know my daughter's spot last year started bright pink. This year it was like not even a pastel-y pink, because it was almost gone.
There's no really good answer. I will tell you that for the most part, from now until December, they look pretty good. The moment we start putting sand salt down and we start having the wear and tear of the tires, there's very little we could do. Latex is preferable, one, because it's much less detrimental to the environment and everything else. It's water-based.
No, I'm saying it's a good thing for the next class
Well,
that
it is.
fades as the
It
year
is.
goes on.
But it's a little bittersweet because
And
so
also-
much work goes into it.
Thank you for all the work you and your staff does. The buildings look amazing, the grounds look great.
The guys do good stuff. They really do. And I tell you, I'm looking forward to the board walkthroughs. Even though we had a late, summer seemed to start late this year, we went to the end of June and we're starting early. I think you're going to be very impressed by what you see in the buildings. They really do look good.
Hello, thank you. So like John mentioned, I like to highlight what we are able to accomplish in-house, a lot of times without the use of vendors or with some augmented use of vendors. But we do have a pretty talented maintenance, grounds, and custodial team. Maintenance team spans all of the trades: HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and carpentry and painting. So we do try and spread our wings, so to say, when we get an opportunity. So I want to go over some of that and maybe go over some numbers to that gets me jazzed up about some in-house work, as Sean put it. As he alluded to already, our grounds department was able to rent some equipment and demolish the existing structures and also remove the existing engineered wood fiber, the wood chips from all the playgrounds to prepare for the vendor to come in. It's a significant savings, and it really put us in a good position to be able to actually accomplish these projects to the extent of scope that we really would like to see. So that was a tremendous grounds undertaking, and ground supervisor along with the crew did an excellent job in that, and we met the contractor's mobilization schedule, which was also quite tricky. As John alluded to earlier, years ago we used to contract out the parking lot sweeping as well as the line striping to maintain our important markings on the ground. We've since taken that over. We've made some investments in equipment and machinery and some training with the crew. So you can see here, every year we end up with that accumulation of dirt and sand salt from the winter preparedness. So we take it obviously upon ourselves to sweep these sidewalks, parking lots and sidewalks and get them ready. I sit down with my ground supervisor. We assess how the parking lots are looking in terms of markings, and we refresh as necessary, obviously focusing on safety markings, handicap accessibility markings, crosswalks, fire zones, things that ensure that our parking lots are as safe as they could possibly be. Another grounds aspect that we take great pride in is an ongoing district-wide system of tree care. If anybody knows, tree care can be incredibly complicated and expensive. If you have had run-ins with dead or dying trees at your own home. So we do often tour our buildings, our grounds. We try and get our eyes on trees that are end of life or diseased, infected, or brush areas that are infringing on maybe our neighbors' properties. And we put together a program in order of severity as far as how to address them. So you can see some examples here, some pictures of some stump grinding after some tree removals, as well as this picture is actually the south side of Sycamore's lot, where there were some trees that were encompassed by ivy and had threatened to, essentially fall, which is unsafe condition. So we took care of that preemptively, of course, and we worked with the neighbors who were extremely accommodating and had good communication with them to do so in a way that didn't disrupt their operations. In the department, we have a significant amount of equipment. We invest a lot in equipment. It's very important that we utilize the equipment safely and to the extent of its purpose. We also look to squeeze every bit of life out of this equipment as we can, because we know it is precious, and we're not always promised new equipment. So in this case, we had over the winter months, we identified this Ford pickup had a corroded bed beyond its useful life. So we actually, with our grounds guys in the garage, took the bed off and replaced it with a new diamond plate steel bed that would be the home for a new sand salt spreader. So that's just getting ourselves prepared for the next winter season to apply sand salt. But it's just a way that we're trying to maximize the use of our existing equipment. When I first started, we did utilize irrigation vendors extensively for yearly startups and the yearly winterizations. We have in our grounds department, as well as maintenance, it's kind of a joint coordination effort to winterize and start up the irrigation systems district-wide throughout the year, which is significant savings, and it's a savings that if we learn to do it and we get past the learning curve, we'll be in essentially perpetuity. If our crews are educated and trained, and we schedule the equipment rentals, we will not have to rely on an irrigation vendor in most instances to do our winterization, startups, and basic repairs. The picture on the right is actually a little bit more intense example. We noticed that there was some water pressure issues at the high school. There were too many heads on a particular zone. So we took it upon ourselves to, get site markouts, trench some new conduits for power and some control wiring, and add zones and an irrigation clock to increase the pressure on a particular area and get better coverage. So that was a joint effort with grounds and maintenance, and it was a significant savings. I would estimate roughly $20,000 savings realized this year just by those efforts. So on to the inside of our buildings, or building envelope. John mentioned we're undergoing a significant pool project. We did notice that the adjacent spaces to the pool that were not originally slated to be taken care of as part of the capital project were in sore need of some attention and some TLC. So we did take it upon ourselves to get the epoxy flooring and bench completed. We replaced the lighting for a brighter environment in there. We applied paint to the ceiling structure as well as all the walls. And we purchased new mirrors, toilet fixtures, sinks, faucets, and hair dryers, for the spaces. So it's really a pretty complete overhaul. You will see the old green lockers there. The new ones are ordered and incoming, just waiting for those. It's a pretty significant turnaround, and we would estimate that we pay about $30,000 to get that from vendors when we could just do it in-house. Slocum, if everyone remembers from last year, we tackled the Pearl cafeteria in a similar fashion. So the existing cafeteria at Slocum had a very similar setup with the old drop-down tables from the walls, as well as weathered wood paneling that was fairly dated. So over at Slocum, we were able to add HVAC to the space, so it's cooling and some redundant heat, which is nice in a big assembly space, especially in inclement weather, as well as remove the drop-down tables, infill those holes in the walls, sheetrock, paint, and clean up all the electric. So you're seeing the fruits of that labor. And that project would probably go for around $60,000 if we were to bid it out. Very exciting part, and John mentioned that we were working diligently to get air conditioning to all these spaces in the buildings, is that we were able to take on the cafeterias in another 3 elementary schools this summer, which is Boston, Cherokee, and Duffield. We were able to do that all in with our crew, with no involvement of outside vendors, which is a savings of approximately $100,000, 30 some odd thousand per school. So it's a significant savings. Just some other projects, they're less picture noteworthy, but I wanted to mention them anyway. We did complete calming room constructions at Sycamore and Boston. There's small sub-rooms in classrooms for intervention purposes. So we've done that from framing to electrical to ceilings to lighting to paint. Brand new partitioned off rooms with openings to the hallway. We did recently replace the HVAC system at the Duffield nurse's office, which was end of life. And we have, if you've gone around the district, converted all of our old water fountains, so those old non-cooled porcelain water fountains, into the filtered, cooled bottle fillers mounted at ADA height to further our handicap accessibility throughout the district. A particularly exciting one, and I don't know if everyone gets excited about rebates as much as I do, but I did do some research and I did find there is a current steam trap rebate through National Grid. We use steam heat in 4 of our buildings out of 12. That's both middle schools, Slocum and Duffield. And essentially these steam systems rely on these traps to separate the gas, steam that's useful for heating, and the water condensate that's a byproduct of heating. These traps fail over time. We were getting to a point where we needed to replace our steam traps. And by using the rebates, we were able to get a contractor to do the steam traps, purchase the materials, install, and leak test everything at no cost to the district, which on average, just to purchase the steam traps is about $200 a trap. We have about 409 steam traps throughout those 4 buildings, so it's about an $80,000 savings.
I love it. Love the rebate. I love it.
Love a rebate. Who doesn't? So it's a significant savings right now, and it's also something that we expect to realize in just the smooth performance of our steam heating systems. When steam traps go bad, they can start to become unreliable steam heating systems, but because they're replaced, now we're looking at a 3-year timeline at least, where we need to start really evaluating our steam traps for the next round. Hopefully they'll redo the rebate in 3 years from now. But I'll be here to look into it. So, all right, any questions for me?
I don't, but I just want to say thank you also, the amount of work that goes into making these buildings as great as they are. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
All right, my pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Can I please have a motion and a second to adjourn the facility summer project presentation and reconvene the business meeting?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. I will now open the floor for the first open public comment portion of the agenda. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping up to the podium. You should have received a number card from security on your way in. If you have not, please see a security guard in the back of the room. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. The use of foul language and threatening comments will not be tolerated, and the board will consider a recess until order is restored. In accordance with Policy 1230, public comment will not exceed 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a motion to extend the time. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3.
Good evening. I'm here to make 3 points. First, it is disgraceful that the Connecticut School Board has silenced the voices of the community and unilaterally decided to abandon the Thunderbirds name. The board's own polling showed that over 60% of the community supported continuing the court fight to preserve the Thunderbirds. Yet the board has instead sold out the community and demonstrated their unwillingness to stand up to the state and do what the people deemed and demanded. Second, the board's conduct is not only disgraceful but also fraudulent. For the past 2 years, the district and the board have represented in official court filings that T-Birds derives from Thunderbirds and is therefore prohibited under the Native American mascot ban. In fact, on November 5th, 2024, the board and district filed a letter in court stating, quote, plaintiffs would have to retire the Thunderbirds and T-Bird names and choose another one, and physically remove all traces of the existing Thunderbird and T-Bird logos, imagery, and mascot. That is the board's own sworn position in court. But now, in direct fraudulent contradiction, the board seeks to enter into a contract with the state, essentially cowering to the state, claiming that T-Birds is not covered by the ban. Either the board made false representations to the court already, or it is now making false representations to the state. Pick your poison. Either way, these actions are fraudulent, and such misconduct constitutes New York State grounds for removal from office. Third, the Trump administration, through the U.S. Department of Education, has launched a Title VI investigation into the district for eliminating the Thunderbirds name and logo. Yet in direct defiance of the Trump administration, this school board continues to push a backdoor deal with the state to comply with this discriminatory regulation. In the backdoor deal, the board now claims that T-Birds has no Native American connection. This is openly admitting that it eliminated the Native American derived name Thunderbirds and replaced it with something non-Native American derived. That is an admission of discrimination and places the district in violation of Title VI. So I close with one question to the board president. Marisol, why has this board chosen to betray our community, defy the Trump administration's Department of Education, and side with the state of New York in advancing a fraudulent and discriminatory agenda? Is this board all saying essentially F you to the President of the United States of America? That's something you guys need to answer.
Thank you. So actually during board discussions, I was going to give an update on the mascot, but I'll just do it now. So there is a proposal to resolve the mascot litigation with the state and State Education Department and the Attorney General. So on September 2nd, which is our next board meeting, we are going to further resolve and get community input. We would not enter into any agreement without any input from the community. So the district is going to be putting out further communication to the community to garner that input. Number 4.
I just want to say, as you say, the board is doing that. That board that Marisol is speaking of is only 4 because I am 100% against all of that. I just want to go on record stating that. I'm not part of that. I want to continue to fight. I've said that many, many times. So I am against that. I want to hear community input, but as far as what you were saying, I'm not part of that. I'm against that. Just want to put that on record.
Can I speak? It's not 4-1. It's, I have a personal opinion about the mascot. I think everybody knows it. I think that we should fight for it. I will say I am looking forward to seeing what the residents of this community want. And at the end of the day, the only reason why I'm up here is to represent what the supermajority of the community residents want. And that's what we're looking for, without any interpretation of it, whether it be T-Bird or Thunderbird. Specifically, I represent what the community wants. Not what I want, what the community wants. So that's why I think we should have another meeting specific only to this.
I agree with you, and thank you for making that correction, because I'm glad to hear that it might not be 4-1. So thank you for that.
Button on the right, under the microphone.
Oh. To start, this is about the accountability in this district. Are adults this year going to be held to a higher standard? It's one thing that the admins want students held accountable, but what about the adults? Is it appropriate for the adults to take out their issues they have with other adults or parents by taking it out on the students? Next is based off of the devices ban. If phones are not allowed to be used in school, does this apply to the adults in the building too, or just to the students, and can they be used after the bell to advise parents if a student is staying after for sports? Lastly, my sister graduated this year and was countlessly counting the days down till graduation, and so were many others, since the high school experience was not that great. Are you going to help students have a better year this year? Are the students going to be able to speak and finally be heard, or will a door be shut on them as well? Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank you for stepping up and speaking. It's very brave. There will 100% be accountability on all staff. We hold Dr. Senamore accountable, to hold administration accountable, to hold their staff accountable. As far as the electronic devices, yes, it applies to staff also. So we hope that students and staff both follow the rules. And if anybody ever needs anything, please see your building administrator. Please see one of us, Dr. Senamore. We're always walking around And I hope you have a great year, honey.
And for after school, just so you know, you are allowed to use your phone. It's bell to bell. So from first period to last period, you are allowed to use it afterwards to speak to your parents.
Not between periods. If you do need to contact your parent between periods, you would have to go to the central office. But here we are. None of us agree with it, but here we are. Number 5. Okay. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the first reading for policy 0115R, student harassment and bullying prevention and intervention, policy 5150, school admissions, and policy 5100, 5100R, attendance?
Motion.
Second.
Does anybody have any questions on these policies?
I do. I have one quick question about 0115R, the one on the harassment and bullying. Just a question, and the document I have is on page 3. I think it's the 3rd page, yes. Under prevention. Jackie, which one are you talking about? The one about.
The 0115R, student harassment and bullying prevention,
Yes.
page 3.
Yeah. Under prevention, the spot where it says gathering information about bullying at school directly from students, analyzing and using the data gathered to assist in decision-making about programming and resource allocation. I'm just curious as to how we plan to go about gathering that information, because I've always said in the past, and I still feel this way, I don't believe in doing anything without the parents involved, them knowing. Surveys, how I feel about that. So I just wanted to know, it says it's not specified in here, if there are any details about how the district plans on gathering such information.
Well, we do maintain discipline data, and then there's other types of data that can sometimes correlate, sometimes attendance data can correlate. With regards to surveys, they're always carefully vetted, and they tend to go through various types of committees prior.
Okay, just want to make sure that we are doing our due diligence with that. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions on those? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the second reading for policy 0320, superintendent evaluation?
Motion. Second.
Any questions on that? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to waive the first reading, second reading, and go to immediate adoption of policy 8133, extreme heat condition days?
Motion. Second.
Any questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the claims auditor report?
Motion.
Second.
Anybody have questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the instructional and non-instructional personnel items as presented?
Motion. Second.
Ms. Parisi, you had a question on instructional item number 61?
I do. I want to know, is this person a CTA person, a Connecticut Teachers Association person?
Can you just give me 2 seconds? I don't have the, thank you. Yeah, this is non-certified. This person is not a CTA member. It's a CPDA member, an administrator. So she's part of the administrative bargaining unit.
So she's been vetted, clearly.
Yes, I believe the board interviewed her.
No, wait, this is the man, 61.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You had a.
Sorry. The board president pointed out the wrong one.
No, I circled 61.
I'm just kidding. I'd have to double check if, I don't believe this is a CTA member. However, he's a volunteer as a coach, and therefore.
Right, my question is, and it's clearly don't know this person, don't know, but if they're not a CTA, if they're not a member, how are they vetted?
They are vetted with their certification, so we do check to see that they're certified as a coach.
Okay.
That comes out of my office. They wouldn't be on the board agenda if they weren't certified.
Okay.
And they're not paid because they're volunteering their time.
Pay isn't my problem. My problem is I just want to know that there is a vetting process. Okay.
Does anybody have any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve items 1 through 19 on the consent agenda?
Motion. Second.
Ms. Parisi, you have a question on number 3, the Mason and Mason scholarship donation?
Yes, I want to know how much money Connecticut gets, whether it be scholarships, donations, anything, from Suffolk Transportation. Yearly, I want to know how much we get, aside from them getting us, hiring them to do runs. I want to know how much money comes to Connecticut via donations, whatever, outside the scope of them getting.
Annually from this company.
Yeah.
We'll have to get that information.
Would you like that pulled for a separate vote?
Would.
Okay. So can I have a motion and a second to approve items 1 and 2 and 4 through 19?
Motion. Second.
Any questions on those?
Yeah, I have some questions. Number 2, the budget transfer, which I guess also sort of goes in line with one of the other items because there's a letter there. The budget transfer for the arbitrage, I had emailed a bunch of questions about that because that is, as I understand it, just to make sure I have this clear, it was something that we didn't pay enough, or we paid something with the interest on a bond, and now we owe the IRS. Is that, am I reading that?
Yes.
Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah. Oh, well, it's not here. You can explain.
Yeah, so, Bob, Mr. Hauser was able to prepare responses, to the questions. So let me refer to some of the notes. There's a certain time period with the borrowing, with regards to the bonds, that you have to use X amount of money with the bond, and you're encouraged to, and school districts are allowed to put the borrowed money into an account to accrue interest, but it's basically within a certain period of time, and in essence, the district for some of this money accrued too much interest, in terms of about $450,000 or so. I know Mr. Hauser is watching the meeting, so I'll check my phone in a second, and that we essentially have to give some of that interest back to the IRS.
So is that something that happens often, that we find ourselves in this situation where we owe the IRS money? And this is, we're looking at, I think, what was it, 132,000 or so. Is this something that happens a lot? Is it common?
I don't think it's too common. I think in recent years, because of the interest rates that have been in the favor of like school districts in terms of accruing interest, this is more of a recent occurrence. I do know there's a timing component with the board's approval of this transfer. That was kind of the timing of the essence. That's why we tried to get these questions answered as soon as possible. And I'll see if Mr. Hauser has been able to.
And I appreciate how quickly you were able to get those answers. And one other thing, and I know, you had stated, or maybe it was Mr. Hauser that stated that we can take this from that line, the New York State Employee Health Insurance.
Because it's from the general fund.
We can,
Yeah.
yes, I just have to double check, and this is nothing that nobody knows. I just want to ask, since we have Anthony here, are we able to do that, I just want to have a double check on that we can take this money for this purpose from that particular line item.
Which reserve fund is it?
New York State Employee Health Insurance.
Employee.
That's what it says here. To transfer to ASB contractual.
And it's all general fund, that's not a reserve fund. I would have to look into it, but auditors looked at it and they approved it, but I'll double check.
Yeah, I just want to, to make sure, it's a lot of money, and I want to make sure. Okay.
No, I'm trying to.
Okay, thank you.
So I always thought with the bond, as long as the money was allocated for a specific purpose, such as the pool, or that we wouldn't be punished for that, putting it in and accruing interest. That's what I was under the impression. Is it that we didn't have the specifics to where that money was allocated?
No, it's not a matter of allocation.
Right, I thought that you could extend that time frame as long as it was allocated to something.
So a bond issuance is good for 10 years. So you have the ability to do the work within a 10-year period. What happens is when you project the amount of work that you're going to do in a year, you have to borrow for that so you can meet your obligations. In the case of the first year of the 22 project, we ended up borrowing based upon the spreadsheet that was shared with the community and the board. We were going to do roof, AC, all these different things. We had 4 things that took place in respect to that borrowing that year that we didn't expense the full amount of the borrowing. So the 4 things that occurred, and I shared this with Mr. Hauser, so, because I was trying to figure out for myself what it was. So the work in 23 that came, there was a substantial amount of work in 23 that came in under budget. So some of the roof projects that we had estimated $4 million to do the work came in at $2.5 million.
Right.
So we borrowed $4 million, but now we only needed 2.5. That additional 1.5 now sits in that borrowing account, that escrow account.
And that's my question, though. If we allocate that 2.5 for something else, can we utilize it as long as we notify them?
You can utilize it for other projects within the 22 project, but you can't just sit there and accrue interest. You have to use it within 18 months.
Okay.
So projects came in below budget for the first wave of work. Year 2, well, we had $4 million of excess money from the first year of borrowing, which is still within the 18 months. So we didn't have our final billings, so now we borrowed on the next wave of borrowing. So we did $14 million the first year, $14 million the second year, out of a $60 million total project.
So that's my question, though. If we had leftover, is it simply that we didn't allocate it for something else and we put it in a bank account and it accrued interest, and we simply did not allocate that money for something else?
Correct, because when we're doing the work in the summer, and we're doing our planning based upon the summer. So if we don't get something done by September, it's going to wait 10 months before we can start allocating and utilizing those resources. And it exceeded that 18-month window where we had to use those monies initially.
Why didn't we just...
Or less.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, why did we borrow more if we had that sitting there accruing interest? And then why didn't we just say, well, you know what, the pool needs to be fixed? That's what I'm not understanding. If we allocated it, we wouldn't be losing money.
But we still need to get SED approval. So the whole entire project doesn't get SED approval year 1. We send the plans up as we go forward. So that's why we can't just sit there and take a bucket of money from year 1 and use it in year 2 until we get SED approval. Otherwise, we're not getting state aid.
Right, why didn't we go for that? Why didn't we say we need this and we'll utilize that money, hence allocating it?
Yeah,
And not...
And I think we'd have to go back and do a whole lot of digging to figure out, like, I sit there and I estimate what I think we're going to need from a year-to-year basis. I share that with Bob and purchasing and the capital project officer. They borrow based upon those requests. I don't look at the previous year and say, oh, wait, we still have a couple extra bucks. It's not a role that I've ever been.
It's not your role.
Well, maybe it should be, and maybe that's the problem. But it's not something that I've ever done in the previous 10 years, so that checks and balances may not have occurred as well as it could have. I don't know of any other time in 10 years when we've had this type of an issue where we borrowed more and we earned more on monies that we were borrowing on. So to that point, I mean, yes, there's nothing worse than having to send money to the IRS. The only saving grace is it's not money that we had in the first place, and it's money that we earned in interest that we shouldn't have earned in the first place. So it happened. It is what it is, and we're going to do better in the future.
Wait a second. Isn't that a good thing if we earn it as long as we stay on top of it and allocate it properly, so then we can utilize that money and not have to borrow? Am I wrong about this?
You are, up to a certain extent. It's all the timing as to when the borrowing took place. So of the $400,000 of interest that we earned, 280 of it was completely, completely acceptable and everything else.
Right.
That one piece that I think it's $120 million, $120,000 was outside of the IRS guidelines for that component of it. And I'm sorry if I'm not doing a better job explaining it.
It falls under arbitrage. We have to return, it's not a tax. We have to return a portion of the interest.
For the interest, because we're not allowed to invest. I mean, that's kind of it. You can earn interest, but you're not allowed to invest. I mean, that's.
We stay on top of it and we utilize, we don't have to return anything, we're
Cor-
utilizing it.
correct.
Going, asking for approval and then utilizing that money.
You're 100% correct. I mean, it's definitely a timing issue. And like I said, it's not something that's come up in previous years, so it's definitely something we're going to look at a whole lot better moving forward. But that is the reason why projects came in for less money. So we ended up, which ended up resulting in the less need for that borrowing. But this is the consequence of that.
Mr. Lorenzo, do you want to pull that item?
No,
Or-
that's okay. I just wanted an explanation of it and just to understand it and even for the, public to know. This is essentially,
Sure, absolutely.
money. So, no, that's fine. I did have a few other questions.
Yep.
And the numbers may have changed. Okay, this one I don't think it did. Number 6, the technology department, various items for surplus. Just a quick question. There's a lot of things on here. Chromebooks and desktops. Where are they going? And what's happening here? What's the history behind it? There's a huge list of items here. Just a background on it.
A brief background. So these devices are end of life, end of use, where they may appear to be functional. In most instances, they're not able to support updates, which would leave our infrastructure vulnerable. And so we actually contract with a very creatively named company named eWaste to recycle these devices.
Okay, thank you. That's all I want to know about that.
Just to add to that, the waste companies strip them so that none of the children's information,
Right.
anything like that, can go anywhere.
They do, yes. Okay, another question just to have the background on, and I think the number has since changed.
That might have changed by 1, so like 8 will be 7. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, everything, and I have it online here too. The one I'm looking at now is actually number 14, a contract for high tower license agreement. What's the background on that? Because when I looked at it, I see $22,000 a year for this. So just a background on what that is, because that's a lot of money.
I believe this is our communications with the radios, for over by Eagle, adding the Eagle Hill.
It's actually Bald Hill.
Bald Hill.
Right, and we have
Bald Eagle Hill, Bald Hill.
Bald
Sorry.
Eagle Hill.
All right.
And we lease these repeaters annually or on a schedule for our radios.
Okay, so this is a regularly occurring
Expense. It is.
Oh. I'm sorry. My last question was about the grant writer, the amount, we have a change in that? The amount? I guess the compensation?
The cap. So the change from last year's agreement with the grant writer to this year's agreement would raise the earning cap on a grant awarded.
It was kind of it was 1,000. Is that typical? No, but it was 3, but it went up 1,000 from last time. Is that typical? I just want to make sure that.
I don't know if there is a typical with this type of thing, so.
So she does get a certain percentage of the grant that's received to a cap of $4,000.
Okay.
I actually did have
It's
some.
only if it's received, like only if we
Yeah.
get the grant.
I see that, and the grant has to be at least 2,000.
Yeah.
Right, okay, all right.
And I actually had a question also about the grant writer. How many grants were written last year?
Last year she wrote 2 grants.
2.
In the district's name, correct.
I have a question about this.
Sure.
Have we because we discussed this before, have we asked about the administration? They usually know how to write grants. Has anybody contacted anyone within the district, principals, assistant principals, things of that nature, to write grants?
You want
I
to
know that we
speak to
had
Mr. Monica and Ms.
we had a
Pacini?
couple of principals
right,
that have retired that actually wrote grants and got them.
So I will say that the grant writer is a retired administrator from a local Long Island school district. Internally, our current administrative staff, aside from situations where grant writing is part and parcel of their current duties, we've not accessed individuals to write above and beyond their current set of duties.
But with that said, I'd like you to know that even though it's not part of their duties, many of them do look into these things, and we actually got a grant recently with an assistant principal who went after that for, I think it was 400 and something thousand over a 3-year period, if I remember correctly.
Right, that was with Yes and with one of the directors in student services that's gonna help go towards program. But we do have administrators, it could be an assistant principal, could be a director, and the one that you're referencing, Ms. Iannatelli. It definitely was a team effort there all around, but we do try to tap in internally as well.
So my question is, why wouldn't we give them the same incentive? Maybe you would get more grants being written by some of the principals, assistant principals, whatever, if they had the same incentive as the one grant writer we have. By the way, I have 4 that I'd like to bring and have you guys check out.
I
By the way,
think that's a
all
great idea.
administrators from other districts.
That is a
retired.
great idea. I think we should give an internal incentive just like we give an external incentive.
I don't know that our current administrative staff have the time to seek out and write grants.
$4,000 often gives them time on a weekend or something.
That's internal
Just saying.
And I'm just saying, I don't know that
We
they
could
have the
ask.
time. Sure.
And how do I go about bringing in the resumes for 4 other people who are, that's what they do. They write grants
take
now.
them.
Yes.
You
could
get them?
probably-
Yeah, if you want to give them to me, I'll take them.
And in terms of the idea of offering incentives internally, I heard a few voices, board majority. Is this something you'd like us to approach?
I would be okay with that.
Me too.
Yep.
Yeah, as long as making sure that people have written grants before also, because if I,
We only get paid if you get it.
Right.
no, you get, per this contract, you get $400 if you submit it, and then you get up to
But we
$4,000.
wouldn't, we would.
No, but
It could be a separate, it could be a percentage of
$40 if
whatever
the grant
they,
is worth more than $2,000.
that's the
So if
agreement
you
for this
didn't
grant
think it- I'm
writer.
just saying, if you didn't think anyone was double checking and you knew you got $400 for every grant over 2,000 you submitted, I submitted 10. Here's the proof.
No,
I'm
we
just
would-
saying,
for
if we're gonna do
internal-
No,
an
it would be,
incentive,
it would be
have
just
to
a
be
percentage of the grant
Wait,
received.
isn't it contractual, the grant writer?
I'm just saying,
Yes.
Okay.
can we just make sure that anyone taking that incentive knows how to write a grant? It's not easy. Right, that's, you
Change our
understand.
Again.
verbiage to be that you
Be
only
what
get
they
a
kill.
percent if you have one, doesn't really. Well, we would only offer it if you get a grant, you get a percent.
Taking out
Right, yes, correct.
I'm fine with offering things, to keep it in-house. My only question is, I'm just thinking of all the sides of this, because we do, as we know, have staff that already does, within the scope of their work, they do write grants. So what happens to them when they're not getting an extra bump for the,
Why shouldn't
right, but I'm saying if they're already doing it as part of the scope of their work, is this something separate? I'm just trying to figure
So
this out.
I have no problem bringing this up with the union president for the administrators. The pay does have to be negotiated. I do think that, we could certainly say, listen, you can write any grant you want. I could take everybody and make it write a grant. If it gets approved and the district gets money, you're going to get money. So I don't need your experience. I don't care about your experience.
Right.
Because just write the grant. You're not getting paid for writing the grant.
Right.
But again, the pay does have to be negotiated with the union, and I will certainly bring that up with the union president tomorrow.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve item number 3 of the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Parisi? Number 3, the one you pulled?
That was the scholarship?
Oh, right. We already talked about it.
Yes, but now we're voting on it. You asked for it to be
Oh, yeah,
pulled?
I'm abstaining till I get the information.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
Yes.
Ms. Torregrossa?
Yes.
Ms. Iannatelli?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Superintendent's update, Dr. Centimore.
Well, thank you. We saw it tonight, the great work that's happening around the district. Mr. Allen, Mr. Weisberg, thank you both for a great presentation and the time to put into it. And I want to echo the sentiments of our Board of Education and heartfelt thank you to everyone in our facilities department, grounds, custodial maintenance. Just outstanding. Our facilities in and out are pristine. And a credit to all of our various crews and everyone in staff and community that takes such great pride in our buildings and the schools and our grounds. So heartfelt kudos to all. The district summer ESY and ENL programs were very successful, as was the BOCES Summer Enrichment Program, which we hosted and had a good number of our students attending. The high school marching band had a great camp, and they already look like they are in mid-season form. Fall high school athletics have begun this week for some, and other teams will report next week. Many teams held summer camps, great turnouts there, and some of these camps even involved, such as recently, one example is our girls and boys soccer, even involved the older students taking time to do workshops with the district's youth. That's one of the hallmarks of this community. We constantly see throughout the school year, and an example in the summer, the older students mentoring the younger students. Absolutely love that. I'll be sending out my welcome back letter to parents in the coming days. Secondary schedules were released today. Tremendous thank you, to our guidance department and all those in administration who assisted in that. Elementary assignments will be at the end of the week. We heard from Ms. Allen and our board members about the senior parking painting. Absolutely tremendous turnout. It's a wonderful tradition, and as I walk around, I like seeing the family involvement of parents and siblings. It's really cool to see. Next week we'll be welcoming our instructional support staff back on Wednesday for orientation day, and on Thursday for superintendent's conference day. The first day of school is right after Labor Day, Tuesday, September 2nd. Please be sure to check our district's new website for your child's school's events, especially those back-to-school open house nights in September, because, again, the partnership with our parents and guardians is important, and our staff is so proud to share all the great things they'll be doing with our students throughout the year. And I just, I want to thank all of our staff in every capacity for their preparation and dedication going into the start of the school year. We see a lot of our staff throughout the summer, all types of staff in various, the aforementioned summer programs, but also a great deal of workshops and professional development. Thank you to all involved. I also want to express appreciation for our parental organizations, such as ORBA. There are music and art boosters, PTA, SEPTA. SEPTA has their ice cream social coming up Friday over at Sycamore, Friday evening, our athletic boosters, and of course all of our community, our parents are encouraged to learn all about all these parental organizations. Consider joining them. I also want to thank all of our civics associations. We have several civics associations in our community. They're very involved, as well as our Rotary, and a special thanks to the Rotary for their back-to-school supply donations. Wishing everyone a wonderful final few weeks of summer, a very nice Labor Day weekend, and here's to a fabulous 2025-26 school year. We are all very, very excited. Thank you.
I just want to add, because you mentioned the Civic, that the Civics are putting together a Meet the Candidate for our local, offices on October 9th, Thursday, at 30 Green Avenue in Sayville, if anybody's interested.
Meet the candidates for the civics. Thank you, Dr. Centimore. Board of Ed committee reports. We had the policy committee on July 31st. Ms. Iannatelli, Ms. Torregrossa.
I really have nothing to report. Every policy was actually on our agenda today, and we voted on them. So if Melissa, if you had anything else besides that, but that's all.
No, we got another one now.
All right, perfect. Policy committee and work. Board of Ed topics, we have the Parent Square district-wide communication, Ms. Sinatelli.
I just wanted to announce that a community member had reached out stating that they no longer have kids in the district, but they want to keep up with, things that were still going on in the district. Parent Square now, if you go on our website, you can sign up as a community member to receive updates. Obviously, you're not going to get the, personalized information about a, sixth grader, but you will get the community events updates. And, I think it's a great tool for anybody who wants to keep up, homecoming, things like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any Board of Ed topics? Does anybody have any public comment? Can I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Everybody have a great school year. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.